number 6. Now we're multiplying the i's together. You just have to realize how to multiply the i's. If you can, that's pretty simple. Watch. I times I. Let's forget the numbers out in front. Just do the i's right now. I times I times I. So I times I is I squared. I squared and I squared is negative 1. Negative 1 times I is negative I. So if you need to write that down, by all means do. But it's just negative I. So I've got a negative I. That's with all these i's. Now let's just do the regular numbers. 3 times negative 2, that's negative 6, times 5 is negative 30. So it's negative I, I'll write this step down, times negative 30. Negative times negative is positive, so it's just 30I. Number 7. I to the 89th power. Well, if you remember, if I squared is negative 1, I to the 4th is positive 1. So what I want to do is write this. That's supposed to be 89. It looks kind of bad. What I want to do is write this to a multiple of 4. So what's the number that's just smaller than 89 that it's a multiple of 4? Well, 88 is. So watch. Anytime you have I to a multiple of 4, I to the 4th, I to the 8th, I to the 12th, I to the 16th, and so on, it's just going to be a 1. So the same thing is here. If I would have kept on going, I would have said I to the 88th is 1. But what is it? It's I to the 88th times I to the 1st. I to the 88th is 1 times I to the 1st is just I. Alright, number 8. This is just simple it's subtraction. I was looking at this one, it's multiplication. This one's simple subtraction. The one thing you got to remember is to take this and distribute it through. So let's go through it. It's 10 plus 15I minus 48 minus a negative. Minus a negative is plus 30I. Remember what the form is. It's A plus BI. The real part always goes first, the imaginary goes second. So the real part are just the regular numbers without the I. So it's 10 minus 48, which is negative 38. So I'm done with that and that. Now you just add the i's together. 15I plus 30I is 45I. So it's positive 45I. Let's take a look at number 9. Okay, this time it's multiplication, so we're going to do the FOIL method on this, just like we would do any one, but now we have to realize that we have i's here, and we have to use the rules for I. So first outside, inside, last. So the first is 8. The outside, it's negative 20I. Inside, it's plus 6I. Then the last is negative 15I squared. Now you should realize what we're going to do with this I squared. Anytime you see an I squared, it's a negative 1. So basically this negative 1 times this negative 15 makes it a positive 15. So let's just write it down. Let's go 8. Let's add the 2 inside. No, let's just write it down. Minus 20I plus 6I. This is going to be plus just 15. No i's now because the I squared was a negative 1. Now we add like terms, doing the reals first. So it's 8 positive 8 plus 15, which is 23, and then negative 20I plus 6I is negative 14I. That's all you can do with that one. Let's go to number 10. This time we're just simplifying this 8 minus 6I over 3I. We're just simplifying. I believe, I should have put this on here, but I believe all these say to simplify. Alright. So why is this not simplified? I can't add anything together. Well, the reason is because you have a square root in the denominator. We have a thing called rationalizing the denominator. But you say that's not a square root. Well, sure it is. I is the square root of negative 1, so we can't have that down there. So what I'm going to do is multiply it by something that will get rid of that square root. So what I want to do, if I take I and just multiply it by itself, I times I is I squared, like we said up here. I squared is negative 1. That gets rid of the I on the bottom. But we have to do that to the top as well, because really all we're doing is multiplying by a 1. Anything over itself is 1. So let's do that. Let's go back to black. So now let's multiply that together. Let's do the bottom first. 3I times I. I times I is I squared, which is negative 1. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. You should be able to do that in your head. Now this I is being multiplied by this thing right here. So we have to be careful that we multiply, when we multiply by a sum, that we multiply by everything in that parentheses. That means distributive properties. So let's see what we have. We have 8 times I, which is 8I. We have minus 6, I times I is I squared. Let's keep going. Negative 3 still on the bottom. We have, let's do this one first, watch. Negative 6 times I squared. I squared is negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 6 is positive 6. And then you have a plus 8i. You could just keep it like this if you wanted to. There's really no reason to simplify any further, but I guess I don't have my answer sheet in front of me, so I can't remember what I put on the test, but you could do this. These are both being divided by negative 3, so 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. Just put this up here, negative 2, and then you could just go minus 8/3 I. Some people might want you to simplify that. To tell you the truth, if you want to keep it like that, that's perfectly fine. This probably is the better way to do it, but either one of those I would accept. Alright, let's go to number 11. So what we have here is 3i over 4 plus 2i. Now again, we have an I in the denominators, which we don't want, but this is a little different because this I is just being multiplied by 3. This one's being multiplied by 2 and then adding a 4 to it. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply by a thing called the conjugate. We talked about that quite a bit, so let's just do that. 3i, I'm sorry, I don't want that to be 3i. What we're going to do is get rid of this. I'm not going to go through the process of explaining why we do this because that's what the lesson was for, but let's just show you how to do it. 4 plus 2i, the way I get rid of it is I go 4 minus 2i. You do the same thing to the top, 4 minus 2i up here as well. Now let's see what happens. See if I have enough room to do this. When we multiply these together, the nice thing is that the outside and inside add up together. I'm sorry, they don't add up together, they add up to 0. So let's do this. Let's do FOIL. 4 times 4 is 16. I'm doing the bottom here. Actually, let's just go to black. The red was just to show you the conjugate. Alright, so let's do the FOIL on the bottom. So we have 16. Then watch this. This is where it goes to 0. Positive 4, negative 2i, that's negative 8i, and then the inside is going to be positive 8i. That'll add up to 0. And now we're just going to go minus, because 2 times negative 2 is negative 4i squared. And we're going to finish that. We'll do a little bit more with that in a second. Let's do the top. This is being multiplied by a sum, so just like we did in that last problem, we need to distribute it through. 3i times 4 is 12i. Okay, 3i and minus, because of the minus right here. So that's going to be 6i squared. 6i squared. I squared is negative 1, so it's negative 6. So it's minus a negative 6, which is the same thing as plus 6. Let's just keep it like that. I'm not going to write it like this. I'm going to write 6 plus 12i on top. Let's see what we get on the bottom. This is going to be, we just discussed this up on top. I squared is negative 1. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. 16 plus 4 is 20. But we don't want to keep it like this. This does simplify a little bit further than this. If you look at this, let's see, 2 goes into everything here, right? So let's write it. So if I have 6 over 20, 2 goes into that. That would be 3 over 10. Alright. And this 2 goes into both of these. That would be 6 over 10. What else? 4 goes into both of those. Take it out a little bit further. So 4 goes into that 3 times, or 3i, and then 4 goes into this 5 times. So really, that's the best way to write it. Both of them are completely simplified.